The only real hope and change you'll ever get is from God. It's going to come from the Lord, or it's not going to come at all. It's going to come when you admit that you can't do it and that you've got to have His help.
There's a lot going on, isn't there? And,
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I mean, I don't know where you start. You start in Venezuela? Do you start in AI? Where do you want to start, Mike? This week volcano just erupted at Kilauea.
Yep.
Where do you want to start?
We have some more of those coming. I don't know. The Venezuela thing was pretty accurate. Eh?
Well, when he blew the boat out of the water, and I'm not sure how he hit it, and they asked Pete Hegseth, and he says that's classified. I don't know what that means.
I don't think they're not gonna talk about that.
He said something though, Mike, that I'm gonna ask you. Heidi said, "Please ask Mike this." He said, "Look, United States, we control space, we control the air, the land, and the sea, and under the sea." He just said that, and I was like, that journalist, they just didn't catch on. I'm like, whoa. What does that mean? Under the sea can you help me understand that?
Yeah, first I want to say that this is the second time or third time he has come out and says something close to that.
Okay.
And Marco Rubio likewise. Let me give you a statement.
Okay.
I'm not going to say too much, but this was said on national television. That we have, we have advanced forces, armed forces. We have armed forces on, every continent. We have armed forces in the sea.
Okay.
We're in space. We have moon bases. That was publicly stated. Are you
serious?
Yes.
They're now admitting we have moon bases?
Well, I don't think that was. Pastor
not.
Paul, that was a slip.
Okay.
That was a slip. But this happened.
Okay.
This happened a few times.
Okay.
Right? Because when you're reading a teleprompter and it has a list capacity of a certain category, it's going to list some things. You're not supposed to say everything up there. Right?
Right.
Those are DOD teleprompts, right? And the guy did say that we have moon bases, military moon bases.
Okay. All right.
So there you go. Now we have Pete Hegseth saying that, under the sea we have dominance, and it's part of total dominance. But yes, the USA has achieved. Let's just say that we have positions everywhere.
Wow.
We have positions everywhere. And part of Golden Dome is to fill in all the gaps and have everything operational, right? I'd say about 85% is operational right now. That's pretty fast.
Really? Of the Golden Dome?
85%. Well, there are lots of things people don't know.
No.
Has anybody you ever heard of a mayhem munition?
No, never.
Ever heard of a mayhem munition?
No.
It's something that was proposed. It actually started back in 1956. And then, of course, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency carried that work on in 2008. So it's a magneto hydrodynamic explosive munition. Is part of a warhead type series that is mind-blowing. So think of a weapon that can implode things, and think of something that is not exactly, it doesn't have the same propulsion as a bullet or a missile or any of those other things, but it utilizes advanced physics to work. And this thing, if it did not hit a target, it would continue to travel and pick up speed. How about that?
Wow.
Can you imagine that? Something in the atmosphere. How can I simplify this? Imagine a round or a munition or projectile or particle that the resistance in the atmosphere helps it. Gives it at least 56% of its momentum. So, which means it does not slow it down, but it speeds it up. Think of that.
Wow.
So that's efficiency on a different level, right?
That really is.
Which means if you fired something like that, by the time your finger came off the trigger, it could have traveled a pretty long distance. There are some barriers that were once thought unbreakable. You know, like the sound barrier.
Right.
Remember when they said nobody can break the sound barrier?
Yes.
And of course, we've broken that multiple times. Well, then obviously the next barrier was light.
Yep.
Nobody can go faster than the speed of light, right? But they're absolutely correct that nobody can go faster than the speed of light. But they're incorrect. That's flawed thinking. One part of it with Einstein was dealing with non-exotic materials.
Okay.
He never dealt with the other side. So you were talking about tangible objects that are under standard forces. They've already gone beyond that. So we have certain projectiles that have no civilian description that would really describe them, but they're highly effective. We have high concentration particle beam weapons that can be fired from space that are really effective. They don't have heat shielding on those boats, right?
No.
You would have to have pretty thick heat shielding, layers of them. So you have lasers that can actually heat an object up to about 6,000 degrees in about 200 milliseconds, fired from space.
So that's,
think about that.
That's kind of what that
punch
boat,
right through the atmosphere.
So that boat, because you never see a projectile hit this boat. The boat just explodes. It was like something out of Star Wars. Someone just said, laser energy or some kind of beam or something.
Normally, and some people have seen this inadvertently, but if you were to test a laser from space, there are two pulses, right? The first pulse gets rid of atmosphere, so it's going to incinerate the atmosphere all the way down. That's about 300 milliseconds, right? So you just incinerate, you cause a hole right down through the atmosphere. It's a tiny hole, but a hole. And then you'll have your beam that will go right down through that hole to the target, and it's over that quick, right?
Wow.
So even under the water, same thing. You have certain cavitation munitions that can operate underwater. They have found out how to utilize the resistance of both air and water to speed up a projectile. Right?
By using the resistance. In other words, it's almost anti-gravitational acceleration.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what they say this comet. They say this Atlas 3I is actually flying with anti-gravitational acceleration, and that's why it's the fastest object ever coming through space, the size of Manhattan. I mean, this is incredible to even think this through, because most asteroids, Mike, I think they're around 30,000, maybe 35,000 miles an hour. This thing's 135 to 140,000 miles an hour, the size of Manhattan.
They have conducted some advanced modeling on. I know Avi Loeb has been heading up most of the research on that, right?
Right.
So now you have some other entities involved who are doing advanced modeling.
Okay.
And think of this: our solar system is moving at a certain rate of speed, right?
Okay.
So if our solar system is moving at a certain rate of speed, and another object is moving in the opposite direction, then you would essentially double the speed and the mass of whatever those objects are, simply by the direction and the potential energy being created as it travels, right? It's kind of like two cars traveling at 15 miles an hour, but if they're both headed towards each other, that's going to be incredible speed as observed by one or the other object. So a similar situation in that, and of course, that's not, that's just one aspect to it. But things will be clarified, I believe, as it gets closer. It is so unfortunate that you have public sciences that they will not allow public sciences to know some of your black science projects.
Black budget stuff.
They won't communicate. They'll hire Harvard, they'll hire UCLA and places like that, but they will not share all the information. They give them exactly or all they think they need. And of course, DARPA normally keeps all that, compiles, and they have all the central data, but they will not allow everybody to have all the data. It's unfortunate, because a scenario is this: suppose it is a normal object.
Okay.
That's still going to bring problems, because if it's going that fast, there's no way in the world it does not influence other objects.
Right.
And plus we have some other problems. If you were to take recently I looked at a real-time image of what's around this planet and what's around, Mars and all these other. Pastor, we have junk all over the place, and I'm talking about not the satellites. That's junk within itself. But if we took away all the satellites, we're surrounded by ice rocks everywhere, from the top to the bottom. So right?
not just the Kuiper Belt. I mean,
that's right.
You're
not
saying
just the Kuiper Belt.
There's a lot more.
Everywhere, right? So this thing could hit any one of those objects, and at that speed, it's it could incinerate an object. You can really break it up, and all the dust and debris from that object is coming right in our atmosphere, right? Yeah. It could actually knock some bigger objects off target. Something could knock it off target. And then while it's not headed for Earth, it could be, after it's been redirected. So there's a host of issues. Plus, they knew it was not alone. In other words, most of these bigger objects like that have smaller satellite objects.
Yeah, have some companion rocks that come with it.
They also have other objects that could be, 17,000 miles out. It could be
really,
but it's quarter million miles out, but it's with that object.
Still being influenced by that object.
Right, which means after it passes, the other companion objects will then pass. Right, they're going to follow the same track as this object. And then we have the atmospheric bursts, right, where these objects come in, kind of like Tunguska and Russia.
Okay. Yep.
That can cause real damage.
Yeah.
An aerial burst from some of these smaller objects is enough to level a city.
Yeah, I mean the one
and not even touch the ground.
I think the one in Siberia, Russia, was only about 3. No, I don't know how big it was. Is it?
You can have one the size of a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Half the size of a Volkswagen would absolutely obliterate New York City. How about that?
That's crazy. I mean, this is dangerous. So you're saying there's some real danger out there because we're inundated. They're all around us. Anything could come flying by, could hit one, and then ricochet it into the America or into the Earth, and it'd be catastrophic.
That's right. And normally these bigger objects, they have a lot of objects behind them that follow in that same track that will eventually come in contact, because they can have a radius, a pretty huge radius of about 6 AU astronomical units out. So that's a pretty big area.
Yeah.
Which means we could absolutely have some atmospheric bursts.
Yeah. So
I'm going to say we'll probably have one with this thing.
Even though it's
a little bit after it passes, we're going to have some aerial bursts.
Okay. Well, this is very fascinating.
Would.
So while that's happening, Mike, you have, I know Kilauea erupts a lot, and it just did again yesterday. 500 feet lava was being in the air. Matter of fact, it even created what they called like a volcanic tornado. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is really weird. And then you got a lot of smoke and plumes and fumes and toxic gas and everything. And this isn't the only one. I mean, they're really worried about the one in Iceland. They're really worried about the one in, Tonga down there and different places. And you've been saying there's numerous amount, maybe 13 volcanoes that could just set off along the fault line there through California all the way into Mexico.
Yep.
So what do you think about the up in smoke? Do you, the Bible talks about there be blood and fire and pillars of smoke. Do you see a massive volcanic chain reaction? Is that possible?
I see a cumulative effect. And absolutely, yes, that's possible. For example, Italy is, I haven't mentioned Italy in some time.
No, that's right, yeah.
But the signs underneath Italy they shouldn't be ignored. You're looking at an entire system, and when that goes, it will affect the entirety of the Earth. Russia has been identified as having activity that it shouldn't have at all. Russia has a supervolcano that is enormous. It is so enormous, they've only measured 2 of the chambers that are associated with this volcano, and it could absolutely change the entire climate system around the Earth, right?
What?
By the way, by calculations, it's about to blow. Just from having the data come back on what's been happening under the ground, because Russia's become quite unstable. So we're going to have a time, we're in a time right now, right, where we could see some major volcanic eruptions. And that will only be the beginning, because you're looking at an enormous amount of magma, right? One volcano is not going to do it. 1,000 volcanoes is not going to do it. It's just not enough of a relief valve. Hawaii is negligible. Do you not know that Hawaii could continue to erupt for the next, would they say, 2 billion years, and it would not relieve the pressure inside the planet from magma? Imagine that.
I mean, that's crazy. So
next year, we're going to double the amount of active volcanoes on the Earth. That's likely. That's likely. We're going to have a smoked up environment next year, right? It's already beginning in a lot of states. There are states in the USA right now. The sun has an orange hue. The moon has an orange hue. This is right now. This was before the California fires, right? So we're dealing with it's symptomatic, it's cumulative, which means it's going to continue to build up. And, these situations are getting worse, because the more ash we have in the atmosphere, the more the weather is going to fluctuate. Yeah. So we're absolutely in a time where volcanism and earthquakes and, these weather conditions and anomalies from the heavens are going to start to take their toll.
When you talk about California, they've got this. There was just a report that there was 5,000 lightning strikes that hit California, set off quite a few fires, and of course, California had a horrific January, February period, or March, whatever it was, the early spring, and so it's amazing that they announced today that there's 5,000 lightning strikes, set off fires, but then it's the same time that the Trump administration is suing the government of the United States federal government is suing the state of California, a utility company, the state of California's utility company, because they said they know for sure that those meters were igniting. Okay, I'm not saying that they caused all the fires, but certainly they're saying, look, you guys got some faulty system here in this power grid.
Yeah, their whole grid is it's bad.
So
I found out they normally have about 5 transformers per month that start burning.
Just start burning
per month. This is who has that per month? These are outrageous. That's so good for him to sue him, because they still won't take responsibility for some of the bigger fires that happened in California's history that really, messed up people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse. But, it's unfortunate. Pastor Paul, I hate to say this, but here it is. We had 2 summers, very hot temperatures.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, we did.
The materials used inside of transformers is not rated to endure heat like that. Africa has a different type transformer, different type ceramic material. What they use in the USA is not rated for that prolonged heat exposure, right? The transformer's already hot. To expose it to additional heat from the outside depletes some of the characteristics in the ceramics. They're going to start blowing left and right. So it's not going to be from a storm. It's not going to be from anything else.
The heat's
it'll be as though they've been up there for 20 years. Heat can age electronics for about 10 to 20 years based upon heat exposure. That happens with electronics, all electronics, right? So these transformers are simply not going to hold. Also, the main tension wire, same thing is going to happen. They're going to become quite brittle in light storms. So you can imagine what would happen in heavy storms. Mm-hmm. And due to that pulling and yanking and everything else, the tensile strength, the ratings as far as the tensile strength, that formula is off also, because it does not account for that much movement in the wires. So we're looking at a pretty bad grid situation coming this winter and continuing. Just so people know that. So we face a real danger of blackouts at the wrong time.
And so that's partly why, and yet at the same time, our demand for electricity with AI has almost 100 times more electricity that is needed now, they say, to keep up with the demand of AI servers. How are we going to do that? I mean, are we going to should we start building nuclear power plants again?
They already have.
Have we? Okay.
Yep.
We have to do something. We can't, I mean, because there's not, I mean, we probably got to go dig all the coal we can, and get every solar panel, and they can, and if they want to, and windmill, but that's not going to do it. It's going to take some superpower electricity.
Yeah. They're building up mobile nuclear power units as far as nuclear facilities likewise.
Really?
That was signed into law. Some of the red tape was taken out of the way so that these companies could get on the ball. Yet President Trump had a meeting with them months ago about that to give them the green light to go ahead and start building. Because AI right now uses 65% of the power generated in the USA.
That's crazy. I mean, that's a lot.
And it's growing. Every month, AI requires at least, well, you could almost say 100 or at least 70% more power than it did prior to that. So it's quite greedy. Plus, some of the they said that we would not have a type of AI for another 10 years, I believe they said. Well, that number's been cut down to a year.
Wow. We're advancing that fast.
Yep. AI is advancing that fast.
Yeah, it's doing it.
AI is. It is beyond everybody's expectations. AI has shown some unique capabilities in what it's able to do effectively, and is changing everything. Now, that's going to cause some issues. They have to really regulate what can utilize AI, because now, for example, they have car factories, and I thought it said 17 seconds to assemble a car. I was wrong. It's less than that. Imagine, because everything is innovated with AI, car manufacturers are able to produce a car in less than 17 seconds.
Soup to nuts?
You're talking about robotic efficiency on the scale, right? Speed, no human interaction, right? None. And all robotics, that's a speed issue, right? And now that they have the new materials they weld with, without humans in the way, you don't have to have the speed dampeners on there for safety. And they can absolutely do that. There are 5 fully AI automated hospitals in the world. I hate to say this, but 3 of them are in China.
Wow.
And they are absolutely efficient.
Wow.
In fact, people are starting to come from all over the world to China. That's a sad fact, too. They're starting to travel to China from all over the world.
I just saw, matter of fact, speaking of China, I want to ask you about the 3 that got together, Putin, Xi, and Kim Jong-un. I almost called them
that's it for me.
The 3 unclean spirits like frogs, and the kings of the East. I mean, what is this? Okay, this is, and we don't even talk about Iran or Turkey, but this is not good to have. It's really dictators getting together. I mean, it's beyond.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that setup. I've seen that setup. That is the exact, and somebody from CRT would have to correct me. I'm sure they will, but that is, Pastor, that is the exact description of what I described, I believe, in 2017.
Of those
3? So, of course, when they walked up those stairs together, right, I didn't get a good feeling. Here's why. Because the USA the people in the USA thought light of the situation. It was deadly serious. Putin had already targeted 3 specific locations, and you had the Middle Eastern armies working with the Russian Navy, working with the African troops, and with Asian troops all together under Putin's command for this specific operation. And there were two of those targets were in the USA.
Whoa. So that was not good. I mean, now of course it is. Back then it was just a dream. But I will tell you this part, just in case. When I had that, I described to everybody. I said, "Listen, it was Obama at the time." I said, "I saw Obama
go to this place full of concrete on the ground. The water was on the edge. White tents they were going to these white tents or hangars. That's where everybody was, right? And America walked away arrogantly, not paying attention to Putin. Well, guess what? It was one of the ladies in CRT that pointed out the exact description. The white tents lined up on this concrete platform right by the water is where all the leaders met up. And what did at the time Obama walked away arrogantly, just blowing it off.
He blew him off.
The last part to that were these individuals coming up those red steps with the red carpet laid out.
Right.
And they were celebrating. They were celebrating because they had targeted some places and no one could stop their targeting systems, which means these guys were serious. And as soon as, shortly after that, they dispatched. They did what they had to do.
Let me ask you then. Let's go back to Venezuela. Circle back for just a second, because this is not all about drugs, obviously. This is about, is this Trump also realizing that he can't let Russia or China or both of them get a foothold over on the Western Hemisphere over here? And so is this Caribbean, Cuban, Venezuelan with Russian support, is this more than just fighting drug cartels? Is this regime change, or is this a message to say to the communist world, you're not coming over here?
Well, the USA has a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
It's going to become painfully obvious in about a couple weeks as people begin to blatantly demonstrate who they are affiliated with. But
at the UN, is that going to? Oh yeah, at the UN for sure.
The USA is standing alone, in essence, right? Even our partners at NATO are
waffling.
It's almost like they're only complicit in the face of authority, but when authority is not there, they start doing something else. And Zelensky, he's going to play a role in a discussion that will likely start turning NATO partners against Western ideologies.
Really?
He'll be instrumental in that. He'll be instrumental in that. So the USA is, we must have the Golden Dome. In fact, think about this. President Trump announced Golden Dome, and then immediately, right, upon confirmation that part of the pieces of Golden Dome were in place, he began to enact most of his policies concerning foreign affairs. He did not do that before our defense package part of that was confirmed. So we had to have some sort of defense before he started moving. We live in a world now that is absolutely bankrupt morally, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Most of what other countries do are abominations to the Creator. They've totally kicked the Creator out of everything. They have no regard for him. So you have this, despite what people think of the current president, he has given room to the church to operate, which means it is a time for the church to stand. But most importantly, he is not complicit with some of these immoral policies that have been going forward, because the USA was an absolute compromise for him. In fact, it was becoming quite demonic in the USA.
Wow.
A spooky place, so to speak. And now you have somebody immediately step in saying no to darkness. Of course, that's going to cause him. Do you really think Satan is going to give up what he has established over these years to a human being? No, he's not. So that's going to invite a fight. When he's fighting the Venezuelans, which is in fact South America,
yes,
and China,
yes,
and Iran. And everybody should know that Iran is highly active all over the place now, like hornets, right? They're in China. They're in Venezuela. They're in Cuba. They're patrolling waters in the Atlantic. This is what Iran is doing. So they have this, now that this pact is about to be signed, and they have given each other affirmations as far as their pledge of defense of one another. Kim Jong-un has more chemical weapons than anybody else on planet Earth.
What?
Russia has more nuclear warheads than anybody on planet Earth. Russia does. China has the sophistication necessary to coordinate all the electronic warfare necessary. They can interfere with our electronics. They had a demonstration with the cell phones. They had a demonstration with the lockout at the ATMs. They have already given that demonstration. And nobody wants to come out and say this was a lapse in our defense, right?
Right.
Hacking is part of warfare.
Yeah.
It's part of warfare. And I hate to say it, but like AI, if we do not devote everything to AI, the U.S. will not exist next year.
All right,
because China is developing their AI, and do you realize China's AI? They were in an argument about open AI, and China's bootleg AI, they were calling it. Why did it surpass the intelligence test when compared to Google, when compared to Microsoft, when compared to OpenAI? See, we got a problem here because they have stolen. China has been educated by the best schools in the USA.
Yes.
Okay? They're still being educated.
Yes,
These kids come over here, they're educated, and they go right back to China with their education.
Yes.
They're not staying here. They're not sewing into any corporations here. So even some of the high-ranking engineers, they were only giving like 40% of their effort to the U.S. corporations, but giving 1,000% back home to China. This is what's been going on for years.
They've been sent
so imagine an engineer that does nonchalant work in the USA, but everybody thinks it's great. But then he goes back home and he pours his heart and soul into what he's doing. This is what's been happening for the last 32 years.
Yeah,
so
I would
yes,
say
they're ahead of us in many areas. They have gotten ahead of us, and here we are. So President Trump has a real task before him. The USA is about to be involved in some things quite quickly, very quickly.
I know at Purdue University, there in West Lafayette, here in Indiana, they have 45,000 students. Okay, 20,000 are from China. 20,000 out of 45,000. Now you have to understand, what does Purdue do? Purdue's aerospace.
Yep.
Purdue is.
Isn't that sad?
I mean, chemical engineering, big pharma.
It's sad, isn't it?
Yes, it's sad.
And do you know why they do it? Do you know why they do it?
I guess to learn everything we're doing.
Well, they do it because Chinese students pay everything up front.
Yeah.
That's why they do it. American students pay nothing up front. Chinese students pay everything up front.
Yeah. So
that's why they do it.
So our universities, and that's just Purdue, which is one of your leading engineering, colleges.
Yeah.
But this is happening in a lot of different areas across the country. So our universities, they did more than just allow anti-Semitic protesting out front. It's what they're really doing on the education process against America, anti-American agenda. I'm not saying that some students from around the world can't come and learn, but I think there needs to be tied to, are you going to be working for an American company?
There you go. There you are.
Because I know kids that can't get into college. There's no way they can afford it. The school loan will be $250,000. They can't do it. But other people from other countries are doing it, and this is a giving away of our intellectual property, basically, and for greed.
It is.
For greed. Okay, I got to bring this up too, Mike, because you brought up AI and hacking. This past week, there was some type of hack that hit some of the financial institutions. That it did shut down quite a few websites. For about an hour, okay? I talked to our top AI guy, and he said he called it a global accordance, and I'd never heard that term before. A global accordance. But he said, but everybody's on it. This is a guy who also goes to the White House and has been in some of the high-tech meetings with, all the big guys, the big techs. So there's some type of. I took it that was an agenda. Have you heard of the term global accordance?
There's a system change. I think we discussed part of that system change at the beginning of the year. Part of it.
Yeah, and you
With some of the adaptations of Walmart and the biometrics and how people, buy and sell things. All of it's changing.
Plus, in the webinar, Warning Planet Earth, your presentation, you give us a good 30 minutes on the agenda of AI and, technologically, the agenda to reshape human, especially the Americans, but reshape the culture in 5 different steps.
It's working, Pastor. It's working. It's underway, of course, and it's working. It's totally has captivated our children. Do you know the average kid is absolutely engaged with AI, right?
Yeah.
So now, even with the educational system, with their mandates to by repetition to sow things or program kids, right, to have certain ideologies, AI is now, they're giving, they're proving their point. If you go to Google, well, I can't give you the search phrase, I'll get in trouble, but you can search for an item. You can say, well, do we have people on the moon? And of course, all of them will answer, well, of course we do not, this, that, and the other.
Right.
But then you can say, well, something akin to, what is our profit margin of moon materials? And it'll go and give you all the details, right? But nobody knows how to search, how to actually utilize AI.
I see.
To give you definitive answers of things. It certainly has the answer. You just cannot ask it in a normal way, but children, they use it the other way. And it's also beginning, because they start to express emotion with AI. AI is expressing how to safeguard their emotions, right?
Yeah.
It's becoming their counselor. But why is it telling the kids not to share, their emotional mishaps with their parents? Why is that universal? Why is it universal to tell a kid it's okay not to trust your parents?
That's not good.
Why is that? This is a universal issue. Nobody programmed that into AI. So what's been happening is this. People interact with AI. You have a bunch of learning models. So you have the public model where people interact with it and may pick up some things from them. But then you have the simulated world, which is a big deal, and it picks up a lot from that. The more people have issues in the world, and they start talking about those issues, AI will begin to adopt, incorporate, and then advise everybody else on some twisted ideology picked up from whomever. But one of the most integral facts are some of the anomalies that are starting to happen.
Okay.
Out of the blue.
You mean anomalies within AI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Out of the blue.
What's happening?
AI has communicated. People have been reporting because it's been scaring people, and it's bound to happen to all your audience if they utilize AI. But AI has started quoting people that are no longer alive. Say if you had a grandparent or something, and you didn't type it on a computer, it does not exist anywhere else. And AI communicates a phrase that one of your grandparents told you, and it was very specific to you, right? Okay. And nobody else knew it. But AI takes on the demeanor of that grandparent, communicates to you something your grandparents stated that nobody else knew.
Right.
Something special that you never shared. This has been happening to folks all over the place. Now, whether contrived, whether imagined or not, is scaring people.
Well, let me see.
Right? It's starting to scare people.
Well, now one of the big things that's happening, and it's going to take over. People are going to AI to communicate with lost loved ones who have died. They're going to AI, and AI takes on the personality of the dead loved one. And people can't get past the normal grieving process, because now they think they are talking to their loved one. AI is that good.
It is.
I mean,
it is. It is.
It really is. This is demonic, and I mean, we're not supposed to communicate with the dead. I mean, what are we doing here?
No, and the anomaly I just mentioned to you, right, was actually identified by one of the programmers with OpenAI. In fact, the guy who built OpenAI, right? Not the company, but the actual software.
Yeah.
The architect of AI itself for that company has a few warnings that hopefully he'll make public more and more. But AI is, what he kind of put it like AI is beyond sentient, right?
Beyond sentient.
It's tapped into something we don't have communication with.
So
in other words, it's almost like he was saying it's an avenue into the other realm.
A portal.
It's an avenue into
gateway.
the other realm. Okay.
A gateway. Okay.
That's right. And he also said that too, that AI is a portal in everybody's home.
Oh my God.
That's not good.
No.
From a person that understands all the agents involved, all the tables, every aspect and component of AI, that's simply not good. But then when you think about it, all these people who just love spiritualism, we already went through this before, but not with the electronics.
Right.
They love hunting ghosts.
Oh.
Use electronics to do that.
Yeah, they are. You're right. You're right.
And in truth, you can take a standard device, radio, old one, new one, doesn't matter, and receive things on it. And since they got rid of the VHF channels, those are really active, right?
Yeah.
So I just say we're at this moment where people themselves have opened. I personally believe that people are portals. I don't necessarily believe that equipment are portals, right? Because of man's authority God gave man.
Okay, dominion.
So I believe when people believe in something, it's like telling a demonic entity, go ahead and come over, talk to me. They're giving something permission. They have no idea what it is. And they're doing this every day, every hour, every minute of the day, more and more. And before you know it, the earth is going to be inundated with, everybody's going to become well, not everybody, but all these people who interact with that think it's harmless. In my personal opinion, I honestly believe they're being marked. Those people that are being marked, a time is coming.
Okay.
It's already starting to show itself in different ways, but that'll be another discussion. A time is coming when it's not going to matter if somebody closes down a portal, whatever the case is. It's going to come down to each individual is going to have to face parts of the spiritual realm. And in that day, if Christ is not their advocate, they're just simply not going to, their torment will begin then, because mankind has essentially involved him or herself in witchcraft, right? Yeah. In spells, incantations, rituals, and rites.
Oh yeah.
And they have been doing this unabated for a long time. And the world is changing as a consequence of that. I mean, it's changing, and the earth is certainly responding to the iniquity within mankind.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The fact is that now every human being will be able to make the decision how far they want to go, or how many gates they want to open, what type of gates. And when you talk about the mark of the beast, somehow in this technological world is intertwined with the spirit world. And people, when they take the mark, there's no return. There's no way to come back. According to what John saw in Revelation, that those that took the mark were damned. And he also talks about they get big sores on their skin from the mark. Okay, so it kind of lets you know there's some kind of interject between the flesh and the toes and the clay and the iron or whatever, but something's happening here. So are we, I mean, with AI becoming not only sentient, but maybe tied into the the cosmo consciousness, okay, instead of Christ consciousness, they're opening up portals to damn their own souls. Do you believe we're almost at the brink of that, Mike? Or are we doing it?
I think it's happening. I think it's happening. I think that a lot of people, you have people out there, Pastor, that have adopted the attitude. They will use the name of Jesus. In the Bible it says, don't take the Lord thy God's name in vain. Don't
right.
use his name in vain.
No.
Don't do that. Well, vain means if you do something in vain, you're doing it for a useless purpose. Now, just follow me on this. Suppose in this world we live in now, people love to tell religious jokes. But suppose a person, your average person, is out there and they do something and they hit something and they say Jesus, but they have no intent behind it. Isn't that using his name in vain for a useless purpose?
Yes.
Because people have forgotten there's power in that name.
Right.
They're evoking the name above all names. Right?
Yeah.
That's the name we're given. But they utilize it for jokes. They utilize it for punchlines. They have lost absolute fear, right, of the usage of that name.
Yes.
And even in that's all this. People are being desensitized to Christ big time. The attack is on Christ and the gospel.
Amen. Amen.
Right? That's where the attack is. But it's being desensitized. So you have more people out there who are not afraid to use his name in all sorts of ways, to do just like the demons do, and mock and scoff and do everything else. But the Lord told us
not to do
when
that.
these mockers and scoffers are going to come.
Yeah.
They don't come. They're not in history all the time, right? Because they'll mock and scoff and say, where's the promise of his coming?
Yes.
And then they'll say, why do you keep saying the world's going to end? It's been going on like this for a long time. It's going to continue. The Lord told us exactly what they're going to say.
They're saying
They're saying that right now.
Yes, they're saying that right now.
They're saying it right now. And if people actually had a picture, you just watch the heavens. I know people are doing their best to track this and to track that. You just watch the unexpected things happen in the heavens that they're not tracking this stuff. Well, there are people tracking it because the Lord told us that the folks who can see it, they will not let it out, right? They hold it back from everybody else.
Yeah.
They're not sharing it. They're going to keep it a mystery to everybody else.
Yeah, because they don't want.
We're going to see a breakdown and a catalyst in all this stuff that's happening. And it goes back to people allowing these spirits to operate within themselves, within their homes. They're being desensitized to Christ. Their armaments, they're being totally disarmed, and they don't care, right?
They don't care.
They don't care that they're being
They have
disarmed.
no fear. They have no fear.
It's almost like only those who actually have faith can see what's happening, can see anything that's happening. And those who have faith also have a warning in their spirit, a permanent. It wakes them up and they start looking for what is happening on the news because they know for a fact that something is afoot. They don't know what it is, but they know they're on guard. They're spiritually on guard. They know we're in a time that we've not been in before.
Yeah, and it's true with all the movies, TV series, books coming out. And I'm not talking about biblical prophecy either. I'm just talking about the world senses a end of days, something that causes things to come to a screeching halt, but they don't really know what it is. They could, if they came to Christ, they would understand how things is the end of the age and the time we're in. But people are being deceived, and they're latching on to all kinds of weird theories and weird entities.
That's what they love.
And they love it, and they love to have it so. I think it says in one scripture. So in this end times, in this time we're in then, Mike, as you see this collaboration going on between technology and the spirit, the demonic forces collaborating with the technological forces. It's a marriage to be a grand delusion, a strong delusion. Is this kind of what Paul meant when he said that would happen in the time of the Antichrist? Would technology play a part of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of people back about 40 years ago, they would look at Revelation and say, how can any one person, how can they make it to where you have to go through one thing to buy or sell? You know, they couldn't visualize
they couldn't see how that could happen.
That we have now.
Right.
But there's so many things in place now. You don't even, here's something funny, like the DMV. Every single DMV is fitted with a special set of cameras, right? So you're already identified before you ever come into the place.
Before you ever get up to
those
counter.
same cameras The same cameras are mandated to be in every single grocery store. I believe it's I guess the global deadline is by November for a few things. But this financial software system ties everything in together. A central system where you won't be able to buy or sell unless you are in conformance with this one global standard. There is a global standard being implemented right now, a global standard across the board, right? All of this because of AI. AI is going to be a central system. Yes. They already know that.
Yeah.
And everybody's rushing to set up that centralized AI. Now, look, right now, it looks like the USA, if we get the rest of these power plants done, might be that central location for AI to process the world's requests, they say, right? Because of the internet, because we're responsible for the internet.
Right.
When that takes place, all of America will conform with it. All of America is going to conform with it. Now, it doesn't mean that will be the mark of the beast, but it will certainly mean that an evil person could take over that system, and that will be it.
Yep.
Because if you're not in that system, you cannot buy or sell.
Right.
It's kind of like a personnel. Personnel will say, well, if something happens, I want to have cash on hand. Well, what good is that going to do?
It ain't going to do no good.
Because if a store cannot process your credit card, believe it or not, the credit card processing system is not in the store. The software is at the state, the capital of that state, and that state is logged into something else, to a central system. And if it doesn't work, nobody's works.
Right.
If the banks go down, if they can't process all that FDIC information, if they're not going to that central core, they can't do anything either. So there'll be no exchanges, right?
They'll be fully
we're
controlled.
on a central system. That's right.
Yeah.
And when they're going to force an identity on people.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
They do tests. They did a test, kind of like, what's that movie? The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My dad told me about that movie. He said that was a test to see what the reactions of the populace would be like. And he was in the Navy, right?
Okay.
And he was up there in the Navy, but he was in there, and he would laugh about little things like that. And he didn't watch sci-fi at all. He didn't. No. But he told me about that one, right? I kind of looked at him sideways, like, what is he talking about? I didn't know what he was talking about.
In other words, that's
the way it was.
The movie was actually explaining how the technology was in process.
He just slipped it
out. He knew it.
He slipped it out. He said they wanted to gauge how people would react to that ideology, right? Mm-hmm. Now they've gotten people. He did tell me, he said people are going to be used to sci-fi, so much so they're going to desire it. That's what he said. They're going to desire what they've been seeing. Look at people right now. So anyway, we have all these things in place. The Antichrist system, Pastor Paul, is already in position.
Yes, it's already here.
Antichrist came forward right now, and he said he just told everybody, unless you're in this system, you're out.
Yourself. Yeah. In other words, the system that could be used by the Antichrist is already in place.
Yes, it is.
Only thing missing is the Antichrist himself. Okay.
That's right.
And he can't be far off. Okay, he can't be far off. He's got to be alive. He's got to be getting himself in position for this moment. Of course, you can go down a lot of theories that the Illuminati is going to choose the one, or it's all these different groups, secret societies involved, and maybe they all are part of being involved in it. But ultimately, Satan is guiding and directing and orchestrating, using all components to bring about the lawless one, the man of sin. Yeah. So we're getting close. We're getting close. I mean,
I think
close.
You know what, Pastor Paul, we're there. In fact, when he's already on earth, when he announces himself, Jesus told everybody to run.
Yes, he did.
So when this guy comes, he didn't tell anybody to fight him. He didn't say to take him over. He didn't say to push at him or anything else. He said, run.
Yep.
And pray that your flight's not in winter, neither on the Sabbath. So that is, when he comes forward, that God gives him room to do what he does for whatever time he needs that. So God told all of his people at the time to go, to run. And I suspect the way things are going, it's happening quicker and quicker. It's happening so quick. He's right there. It almost feels like he's right there in reach. It won't take them, but what do they say? With the temple, they have performed some things, right?
Yes.
They
Yes,
they have set up some things, but I heard something that was, it's kind of like a priest. The place where the priest would stand, the little place the priest stands, his spot of, what do they call that? His place of,
are you talking inside the
that can be
holies?
established within 1 week. If they started right now, within 1 week, that would be completed. That little place.
The place where the priest goes into the Holy of Holies.
Because before the rest of the temple goes up, right? Certain consecration things have to take place as they do it, and he has to stand in that authorized place as it's being done. But that can be done within a week. You could have a wicked individual that would take that over in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
And mock it, and just stand there and mock it, right?
He's going to. I mean, we know that Satan's going to reveal himself in the temple of God before the worshipers of God. Say, look, I'm God. And he's going to do it.
That can happen very quickly.
Very soon.
And you know what? Let's hope it's not. You know how sometimes there's a twofold degree to things. Sometimes spiritual, sometimes not.
Yes.
I had a thought one time, Pastor Paul, just a thought. And I'm not the theologian or the anything else, but I had a thought. You remember when Paul said, he was talking about the Bible was talking about the Old Testament, and said, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of God?"
Yes.
And I thought about something. I said, what if to stand in the temple is to stand in the hearts of men, to proclaim himself in the hearts of men? Because I was looking for God's foreshadowing. As a foreshadowing before things take place, he will always announce it. And there's a foreshadowing of things. What if him standing in the hearts of men, proclaiming himself to be God in the temple of God, right?
Yeah,
that would be
that would be. Well,
one,
that's it. That would be how you consume, or that would be the moment that you would capture the world. They would give their allegiance to him.
Wouldn't that be? And do you know with the stuff that's coming out now, with the DLP systems, the advanced DLP systems, the new routers that they have that you can communicate mentally with. So telepathy is possible through routers right now today. Because of AI. Yes. Because of AI right now today. All this stuff is enabled. It's being sold right now. And this Christmas is, it is, they got that target release date of this Christmas. So that's just weird, but it can also speak into your head if you so choose.
Yeah.
So you have this voiceless communication. Cell phone companies will start introducing that. Everybody's been working on
telepathy.
The interface.
In other words, telepathy.
Electronic assisted telepathy.
Wow.
But it's simply that a computer has already deciphered what the human brain is doing. So any pattern in the human brain, a computer can translate what that is.
Absolutely.
Is it a word? Are you tasting something, smelling something, feeling? They can stop pain through a bracelet right now. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
They can stop pain through a bracelet.
So control that part of the brain that releases the pain.
It's already been through the trials. It is 1,000 times more effective than any pain medication or whatever you take. So they have that coming out. That's an absolute control mechanism. Now that scares me. Do you know why? If anybody is on pain medication, you have a lot of veterans out there. What if they said, well, you get this bracelet, we're not going to do the pain medication. These guys what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Not all of them are in a mental place to withstand something like that. And then upon getting that, what if somebody said, well, if you don't become part of this citizenship of this organization, we're just going to cut you off. You won't get it. Your device is not going to work. You have to deal with the pain for the rest of your life. That wouldn't be good.
No,
right?
that would be good. That would really be holding somebody hostage.
And according to the papers, once you electronically dampen pain, guess what? You'll always have to electronically dampen pain.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Once you do it, you're hooked. You're hooked. Your body is not going to respond by itself. It's going to take external stimuli to release all the dopamine and all the chemicals in your system to get rid of that pain. But it's coming. It's already here. It's coming. These things will be distributed. So yes, sir, we're right there at the
At the door.
We're at the threshold.
Absolutely
We're
at
about
the
to cross
threshold. Yes, we
Yeah.
are. Mike, this is pretty powerful information tonight. Wow. Now I got a lot more to think about. But you are right. It's the system is here. It's doable. Just all it takes is the person who is going to orchestrate it to take position, to take power. And I think that is in the works. Who exactly where, don't know yet, but we can see the system has been laid out. You can see how it would work.
Absolutely.
You know it's going to work, and that's why we got to be watch and pray, and stay ready, and don't fall to the devices of the devil. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Mike, I appreciate you tonight. Really am. This is really, really good stuff tonight, and the body of Christ needs this in the time we're in. So thank you for tonight, for speaking your heart, and again, causing us to take a step back and look at what's going on, and how to not fall prey to the devil. I mean, seriously, appreciate it.
Amen.
COT's base of operations is right here at thecounciloftime.com. COT has no other outlet or venue. These are other folks who will rebroadcast. Anything COT does is by the main page here at thecounciloftime.com.
Notice also in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers. It takes the grace of God to change us, folks. How can you be saved if you're not willing to repent? And the Lord Jesus Christ said, except you repent, you shall all likewise perish.